Good evening and welcome to tonight's Salon. This evening, you'll notice a few differences. First and foremost, as your host, I'm going to be very committed to this presidential debate intro bit. Second, we have fewer speakers tonight, and we wish our fellow saloners well in their various endeavors. Nobody's dead, nobody's harmed. They just have other things that they've got going on, and that's all right. We hope to see you all in the chat. Finally, each of our saloners will have 2-minute opening statement followed by a 1-minute response. At no point will they know if I'm going to make fun of them with a banner. They just have to take it. And with that, good evening, friends. Ahoy, hoy, and welcome to the Salon. I'm so excited that you all care more about Star Trek than our democracy. Same. Tonight, we are talking about Star Trek Beyond, to get beyond politics and into the future. Tonight is the third of our salons talking about the Kelvin universe movies, obviously with Beyond being the third movie. We hope to someday talk about Star Trek 4 if it should ever happen. So bookmark this video and come back in, I'm going to say 3 to 8 years, and we'll see if that movie ever happens. But let's hope. Hello, my fellow saloners. How are you all doing this evening?
Hello.
Good.
Good here.
Trying not to make a joke about you telling us we just have to take it.
Oh, that's right. I totally missed it already. See, this is why, Will, when you get settled after the move, this is why you're going to be the EP helping with this.
Who elected me to do that?
What?
I need a recount. I need a hand recount.
We talked about this 2 weeks ago.
I don't remember that.
Are you claiming there was some sort of election interference? Well,
I'm saying that I don't need to be an appointed bureaucrat. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's fine.
All right. Well, like I said, tonight we're talking about Star Trek Beyond. Next week we will be off. Sorry, Canada. Us Americans are going to be shooting fireworks and being loud and having burgers and hot dogs.
Louder.
We're doing it on Monday, so.
Yes, louder. There we go. After that, starting 2 weeks from tonight, we will be talking about Star Trek Prodigy, because as of July 1st, we will have season 2, all 20 episodes available on Netflix. Highly recommend everybody binge as quickly as they can. If you don't want to binge, you want to do a slow burn, maybe just put it on in the background and don't pay attention. The numbers are going to be particularly important. And as we all know, the best way to get more Star Trek is to watch the Star Trek we get as it comes out. Also highly recommend folks rewatch season 1 in the run-up, and you can of course see our retrospective on season 1 here on the YouTube channel at Salon Trek. Be sure to check that out. EP Aaron Watkey joined us in the chat and answered some questions that had been burning on our minds. We could not get him to confirm that they're going to kill Chakotay, but I have my hopes up. Really do. Although I'm a little mad they made him hot in the trailer. That bearded Chakotay. Don't make that face, Will. Wipe that face.
I just find it weird when people are attracted to cartoons.
I didn't say I was attracted to him.
You said he was
Kale
hot.
Tucker in 1999's Titan AE was my, I don't know.
That's true. No, that yeah.
He's an animated character, not a cartoon.
Semantics. Yes, thank you for pushing up your glasses there.
Well, actually.
But we're excited to talk about Prodigy. The current plan is to do 2 episodes each salon for about 10 weeks. We might switch that up. I heard on shout out to Trek Movie. They had an interview on Friday with Aaron Watkey that there are apparently 5 2-parters in the second season. So depending on when those episodes run, We might do a batch of 3, a batch of 4. Just we'll reassess once we can watch the season. But really looking forward to it, and hope you all join us starting in 2 weeks. With that, we got to get into Star Trek Beyond. Let's get beyond all of this politics, all of this democracy under threat. Let's just enjoy the next little bit with each other. Let's get beyond. Now, before we do that, it sounds like I'm setting an intention, but I can't do that until we all set an intention. I clicked it.
It's a true story. It's time to set an intention, y'all. So in honor of this wonderful film, I thought it would be fun if we chose which Star Trek character we thought would make Star Trek hero would make an excellent Star Trek villain. Because as we all know, our villain in this film ended up being Captain Balthazar Edison, who was at some point presumably a Starfleet hero as a captain of a starship, and then got himself all marooned and evil. And so just kind of want to know, what Star Trek hero do you think would make an excellent villain? As always, I will start us off by saying I think 7 of 9 would make a badass villain. I know that's and kind of stealing a little bit of well, it's not really stealing. I'm kind of cheating a little bit because, started out as a Borg drone, which, not the ultimate hero, but becomes a fantastic heroic character. And I just think that little glimpse that we got of her in Picard 1 when she had to sort of become a temporary queen. I'm just going to make that term up because that's the best one that I could think of. Getting to see her in that role gave us a little hint about what she might be like if she were using her skills for evil as opposed to for good. So I'm going to go with 7 of 9, and then we'll go around the room, ending, of course, with our fearless leader. Let's start with Benji. Benji, it's been a while. Hey, girl, hey.
I know, right? I think she's a lot of queer people's hero, but Loxana Troy would destroy. She would devour. She would feast. I mean, imagine it. I don't even have to say anything more.
Yeah, no. As a daughter of the 5th house.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
What if all of the daughters of the 5th house are like an assassin squad led by Loxana?
Where have we seen something like that before?
But there's several generations, so it's like all of the different. It's like Loxana's mother, her grandmother, her great grandmother, but they're all assassins.
Yes.
And then so is Deanna and Kestra, but
yeah, they're like
the houses of Beta Z could be like a whole Game of Thrones series. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
in the mirror universe.
Sure.
Game of chalices. No,
that would be amazing to see, because we haven't seen the Betazoids in the mirror universe, and I've always been curious. This is a race of telepaths. What is their impetus to get out into space? What's going on during the Dominion occupation? All of that, and the mirror universe, you would think the Terrans would want to subjugate telepaths to be used.
I think there's a reference in Discovery. I feel like Emperor Giorgio makes a reference to bombing or attacking Beta Z at some point. I just can't remember exactly what. I'll have to go back and watch some
track.
Right? Joanne in the comments real quick is just asking what the question was. So Joanne, the intention setter for tonight is which Star Trek hero would make a great Star Trek villain. And so far I went with 7 of 9, and Benji has selected Loxana Troy. And now it's Will's turn. Will, make him evil.
I had trouble with this because every time I thought about how would you make that person a villain? At first I was like, well, Data would be a great villain, but we have lore, so it's okay. And I thought, well, we had Picard, but he was also Locutus at one point, so I felt like everyone had kind of become a villain at some point. But I realized that Janeway never was. She didn't have a villain moment, which I thought would be interesting to see. But I also, part of me, while watching Star Trek Beyond, thought, we never seen evil McCoy. So what would happen if McCoy became a villain? because like he would just like I feel like he would just run because he knows everyone's medical history. He would like give someone like peanuts or something, someone allergic to peanuts. You'd like, oh, there's peanuts on this. Like I feel like it would be really funny, but also like really terrible because he would just abuse people's medical history. But yeah, the thing is like everyone's kind of had a moment where they're almost sort of the villain at some point, or have a moment where they kind of become one. But Janeway was the one that I kind of went, oh, that'd be interesting to see. Because we see in that one episode, the one where that
but it wasn't real. It wasn't like
but
a
I mean,
mirror
we still see
universe.
it.
It was a presumed.
Yeah.
Like what would actual evil Janeway be like? Is it? I wrote her down too. I had
Right.
3. She was 1 too.
Yeah, but I would say McCoy because that'd be interesting to see how he'd be done.
He'd just kill everyone with bourbon.
Right. Yeah.
Stan?
I agree about Janeway. I wrote her down. I also wrote Picard. Like you're right that Locutus happened, but that was against his will. That wasn't really him. I think seeing Patrick Stewart be evil would be delightful in a lot of ways. I think maybe not now, but like in season 6 or 7, would have relished that episode. A TNG Mirror Universe episode would have been interesting to see as well. Although I'm glad that they haven't overused it, and we didn't get it in that particular bit of the franchise.
There is a fun novel.
Yes.
Yes.
And then finally, I wrote Jadzia, an evil Jadzia. That would be super fun. Like using, like maybe she stole Dax, and she got joined so that she could have all of these different experiences to take over Trill or whatever.
I don't know why I just got the giggles thinking about that particular heist. Like, whoop!
Yeah. Mine. Yeah.
She puts it in like a fish tank or something, like a cat crate, and takes it out. No, it's just my cat. Dripping a lot.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, you have to check that cooler. She's like, no, I'm just going to carry this on.
And Aaron in the chat, he found it. In the Mirror Universe, Emperor Philippa Giorgio and Captain Sylvia Tilly, Captain Killy, conquered the Betazoids together sometime prior to 2256. Thank you, Aaron.
So they're still alive. They've just been conquered.
Yeah. Which, like, yeah, you would do that, right? You would, like, oh, you're a race of telepaths? You're working for me now.
Absolutely.
Pew-pew-pews. Fun intention setter, as always.
Did we cover all 3? You said you had 3.
Yes, Picard, Janeway, Jadzia.
Got it. Okay, cool.
I think Jadzia would probably be the most interesting. Super fun. Always exciting. For those just joining us, I see the number going up. Thank you for either, like some in the chat, protecting your mental health, others not giving a damn, or somewhere in between about the presidential debate. We are always excited to debate Star Trek instead. I will also catch highlights tomorrow, I'm sure, from work and throughout the interwebs. Who knows? Maybe my vote will change. It won't. My vote will not change. Will, you're not on mute.
Oh, sorry.
No worries, it's fine. Do you need a minute? Do you want to come off mute?
No, I was trying to close it. It opened up.
He's trying to get out of that prison that he's in.
Yes.
Yeah, this jail cell, this halfway house I got put into. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, y'all, delightful as always. Thank you for that intention setter. Speaking of evil, no, that doesn't work. Whatever. Let's get into this movie. Okay, so something's up with StreamYard tonight because the videos are on a bit of a delay. So I'm going to click it now. Well, it worked that time. Cool.
You're also like you're also not on mute when you talk. So sometimes we'll hear your voice I'll hear your voice as the video plays. And it's really funny. It's how we got live long last time.
Yes. The videos are supposed to mute everybody, but Anyway, let's talk about our top thoughts on this film. I will kick us off. And I'm going to steal at least one of Will's because we talked about this on Tuesday. Sorry, Will, but also extemporize on yours as well. Oh, and I forgot I have Trevor in the wrong position. So there we go.
Fix me.
We're supposed to bookend. So top thoughts on this. I do love this movie. This is the one that I find most difficult to like put my finger on it. Like there's something about it. There's something about this. I enjoyed 2009. I enjoyed Into Darkness. We talked about those the last 2 weeks. I think similar to those films, there's some stuff that just doesn't make sense. And Will put it this way on Tuesday. I think it needed one more pass in the script. I think with this one in particular, there's a lot of really good stuff there, particularly the first half. Like we get a really good setup, and then as often happens in Trek, unfortunately, we don't always stick the landing. You know, I got the vibe that Kirk was bored when I think this could have been a better allegory to he's now older than his dad, and he's like it's the Chris Pine version of William Shatner getting too old in Star Trek 2 and like thinking about his mortality. I think there was something there, but it from his log at the beginning and the way that he acted throughout until his crew was in trouble, it just felt like, oh, I'm bored, rather than I'm middle aged now and like a midlife crisis that I thought could have been a little more interesting. And the same thing with Spock. He has this mortality allegory, yes, because Leonard Nimoy had sadly passed away, but they already did that in Into Darkness. He was curious about death because he nearly died on the Nibiru, and then when Pike died, and then losing Kirk. So instead of his mortality, I think his legacy would have been a more interesting conversation for us to have throughout the film. I like seeing the rest of the crew being a little more useful than usual, you know, Scotty and Chekhov in particular. And then finally, the thing that like, I think what I finally put my finger on that just doesn't really work for me in this film is Idris Elba is incredible, and putting him under all of that makeup and making it a big twist, I think is insane. If I were the studio head, or if I were in charge, and I've been repeatedly told that I am not, I would have changed it to you immediately know he's the bad guy. He looks like himself. He's Captain Ellis. And he's been corrupted by Magus or whoever that Masis or whoever that person is, slash his backstory that they only kind of get at. Like, I understood a little bit of his underlying issue. Like he was a warrior and then peace happened and boo hoo, I'm gonna whine about it. Like, there just wasn't enough there to me for him to be like, now I'm gonna fuck up Yorktown Station that just happened to be built where I crashed 200 years ago. It was a little too easy. All of those negatives aside, I do really enjoy this. There's a lot of fun moments in this, really good character moments. Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana in particular stand out. And then, you know, just little weird things here and there, like Spock changing his uniform after they're on the Franklin. Where did he get that? Why? So many uniforms. Why? I love it. But those are my top thoughts. We're gonna get into it. Benji, what are your top thoughts on Star Trek Beyond?
Well, I'm kind of like thinking back to, because this was a 2016, right? So we're 8 years. Every time we would go to one of these JJ movies, like for, you know, opening day or whatever it was, you know, my friends and I would walk out, and I was like sort of like the Trekliest of our group. So my friend would always ask me like, was this Star Trek? And for the first one, I was like kind of dazed and confused. I was like, I guess kind of like story-wise, it was good, but it's kind of weird. Into Darkness, I kind of shook my head, didn't see it. But then when we walked out of Beyond, I was like, that was good. That was a coherent script. It was well written. It was well balanced. It was well paced. There were actual downbeats. Like my honestly biggest criticism of the first two films is that there's so much action that like you're like there, you know, when if you've ever taken like a film class, like they have that like standard, you know, peak and valley thing for when you're supposed to have like, you know, you're supposed to have like an early peak in action and like a later peak in action. But with JJ's movies, it was just all and then just plateaued, constant action to the point where it got boring for me. And I did not find that in this movie. This was, I thought, very well done. I think the fact that we can have like a more nuanced conversation about this one is a testament to that. I thought it was very good, and it actually gives us an opportunity to have, you know, something, you know, again, just a little more nuanced discussion about it. But yeah, it's my favorite of the three. I like really like it every time I watch it. And yeah, my only criticism, I think, similar to what you said, Stan, is just like Idris Elba's character feels kind of tacked on at the end, so it feels like a little wasted. And it would have been fantastic if they expanded on his story a little more, just because it was so nuanced. It fit into like the birth of the Federation so well. I would have loved if they'd expanded on that a little, just for us. And I know these movies aren't necessarily for us. These ones are supposed to be for everybody, but I would have really loved that. But the NX shuttle pod, love seeing that. Oh, and I love the Franklin. Love that chip.
After rewatching these, this one is definitely my favorite of the three. It's pretty low bar to clear. Like the second one, after watching Into Darkness again, I was just really I don't remember it being as bad as I remembered. And this one, like knowing the production history leading up to this, because there was a lot of like JJ wasn't going to return. He was doing Star Wars at the time, and they had like all of these rewrites, and the script wasn't working, and they had these people coming in, and then they had someone else coming with the script and wanted to be the director, and then he was unceremoniously fired, and then they basically reached out to Simon Pegg to write this with Lynn. They brought him in, him and his writing partner come in and write this script, and it is very clear that they needed another pass, and they were trying to make like the anniversary of the show and all of this, and like it had to hit this 2016 release date. And it does feel like a film that, like, the story wise, it does feel the most like an episode of the original series, like, and not to its detriment, like to how the characters feel, the way it's shot, that the colors of it are super saturated and they're bright, and the uniforms are really cool, and like it's like there's a certain energy that's brought to it that like is kind of disappointing we didn't get a fourth film, because it would have been nice to see another film play off of this energy, maybe with more time to find a more nuance in the script and bring out some more of the Star Trekkiness of this. There are things I have issues with, like the particularly with the character of Crawl. I don't think we need 3 films of someone seeking revenge against the Federation and Starfleet again. Like, we've had 2 movies of this, and neither one of them really successfully did it. And this is a testament to how revenge is not necessarily a good way for a new character to kind of be introduced. And I always thought there was a line that Carl has in the film where he goes, "What happens when the frontier pushes back?" And it's like, well, at some point, like, what happens when the Federation is expanding, exploiting these places, and finds someone who doesn't want to be found, finds people who don't want to be intruded, who don't want these other people around, and I don't think we needed him to be part of like this backstory of him being from the Federation, this convoluted thing about how he's using this technology to stay alive, but it's making him like turning him into an alien. But then it's like, what about these other people? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. The script definitely needed. Yeah, that just happens to be something they had from the beginning of the film. Like, there's so many things that it's like, this was the path of least resistance in terms of writing this script. They came up with an idea, they sat down, they wrote this script, and they cranked this out. And it reads like an episode of a TV show, because they wrote it like a TV show. You can tell that they went, we have to get this done at this certain amount of time. What is the path of least resistance for this script? And I don't fault Simon Pegg for that. Him putting the script together and it being anywhere remotely close to what we got and the amount of time and the amount of pressure he had to do that and also be in the film is incredible. But it would have been nice for them to go, can we just hold off for like a month and let them just look this script over a little bit and maybe pick at it, maybe hand it to another writer to look at real quick and then come back, because there are things on it that it feels like a TV show, but I think it's because the script is very thin plot-wise. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because in the other two movies, they try and put so much into these scripts and make them so dynamic and epic and huge that I feel like it doesn't give anyone any room to do anything acting-wise and filmically. And I think that this movie, because the plot is not nearly as complicated and there's not nearly as many moving parts, other than like the character stuff, but it's all none of it is, there's not as many plot threads, I would say. Everyone's kind of doing the same thing. And I think it gives more space for the characters have more growth and to do different things and to be more like their Star Trek counterpart. But anyway, yeah, I thought Justin Lin did a great job directing it. He did an amazing job. Someone who came off Fast and Furious, I think he directed this film brilliantly. Anyway,
nobody's mentioned it yet. We got the smash hit Sledgehammer from Rihanna.
Yeah, which was a reject
for some reason.
Which was actually recorded for an album of hers, and Paramount bought it, and then yeah. But we can talk about that later. I knew too much about that song because it leaked online before it got bought to be that song, because they thought they needed more promotion. So they thought they'd get a hit. It's a good song, but it's just funny that I heard it like a year before it came out.
I will start by saying that this is my favorite of the three. I saw this one repeatedly in the theater for some reason. There were friends that kept expressing interest who had sort of a vague interest in Trek, and I was like, come on, we're going. And I just kept taking people one at a time to the theater. Got drunk a couple times while watching it, which was great. However, for everything I love, there's a thing that I like to pick apart about it as well. Love Yorktown Station, but it makes no fucking sense and doesn't belong in this century of Star Trek. Like, we can just, like, I'm all for alternate universe, timeline changed, some technology might be more advanced, things may have, but like, we can just build a planet now. Like, that seems a little ridiculous. And just put glass around it and it's fine. That also seems very dangerous. So Yorktown looks awesome, but is weird and doesn't belong in this particular universe. Destruction of the Enterprise, love the idea of destroying 1701 and replacing it with 1701A and doing the Kelvin universe version of that. But we didn't get enough of 1701 to destroy it. So that I find a little jarring. I'm like, we just got this ship 2 movies ago, and now we're blowing it up to replace it with a new one. The saucer separation was cool, but it happens at the time that we're blowing the ship up. Using Uhura to sort of save the day with respect to the saucer separation, but Zoe's phenomenal. The script doesn't always treat her this way, but in that moment, it played a little damsel in distress-ish for me and rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. She was, kicking ass and taking names, and then all of a sudden she's behind a window and oh no, like it I don't know. There was something about the visual that didn't land for me. Speaking of Yorktown Station, Shohreh Aghdashloo, who Joel mentioned, is just the end-all be-all of. I realize it's a relatively small part, Commodore Paris, but getting Shohreh into Star Trek, whatever it takes, I'm here for it. That said, it sets up this weird plot point that apparently in the Kelvin universe ranks our jobs that you apply for, which is super strange. He applied to become an admiral. Like, what? That just didn't connect to anything we know about Starfleet, even in this universe. Canonizing Hikaru Sulu, at least being in a gay relationship, he may or may not be homosexual. He is clearly either pan or bi or gay. That's amazing. Having any and all affection scrubbed from the film so that it met censors in certain countries was very frustrating and annoying. The character of Jayla, loved every minute that she was on screen, am frustrated that we'll probably never see that character again. So that's kind of the flip side of that coin. Loved almost everything that happened on the planet, and the action and the splitting people up. Hated the stupid motorcycle thing. There just happens to be a motorcycle on this starship like that. How convenient. And there were other ways to go about doing that without. Anyway, yeah. So all in all, like I have a very positive view of this movie, even though I tend to pick it apart. Which, I mean, hello, welcome to Salon. We've been doing this for the last couple of years, talking about shit we love and what's wrong with it. But in this particular film, there just seems to always be a trade-off for me. Even though, you know, visually it's gorgeous, the action's fantastic, but there are just things that don't land for me, and that drives me nuts. And so I think I criticize because I'm annoyed because I want to love it more. And those are my top thoughts.
Yes. Good top thoughts from everybody. I feel like the next logical place for us to go is just talking about different character moments. Like I said earlier, we had both Kirk and Spock having their midlife crisis moments. Let's talk about Kirk first. I thought there was some interesting stuff happening here, but like I said earlier, I just felt like he got bored rather than something else, something substantive. So like Will was saying, you apply for an admiralty position, I guess, because you haven't already had a position that you shouldn't have had too soon anyway.
Dude's been a captain for like 3 years, and he's like,
Yes.
I'm gonna go be something better. Like,
Yeah,
settle down, sir.
I think Will or maybe Krista said this a couple of weeks ago, that if 2009 had actually been like, it was his first year or second year after the academy, and he was like a lieutenant, still very early to get the ship, but not a cadet being given the ship. Like, it could have made a little more sense, and giving us that through Into Darkness, earning the chair, respecting it more, like that subtext I felt did work in the last film. But then into this one, like, you just earned it. So what, like, how are you bored of it already? Like, give me midlife crisis. Give me, like Will said, he's realizing I'm older than my dad was. What have I accomplished? Oh, I like, dude, you have the flagship. There is something with like missions becoming mundane, that could have been interesting if it was explored differently, but I just felt like they didn't quite hit it. Like, I was looking for something else other than he's bored, you know? Even go with loneliness, because like he's not banging his crew, like, and he's not meeting alien women of the week.
Or
So,
is
like,
he?
or is he? Show us that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I love the direction they were starting to take with Kirk, with his log in the beginning, talking about how this is kind of boring, how they keep doing the same thing, and how he's kind of he's older than his father was by a year when he passed. So now he's kind of re-examining his life and what that means, and like, maybe Starfleet isn't the right thing for him. Like, maybe that's not what he should be doing. Is an incredible, like, great way to put that together. And then pairing him with Chekhov, who is younger, who is more excited about being in Starfleet, who's like this younger person he can mentor and like kind of like help in some way. But there's a point where it's like, this pairing was, whether it was intentional or not, was really good, because this could have given Kirk like the reason why he's a captain, and help him rediscover the excitement he had of being in Starfleet and all of this, and like, or find out why he's doing that. It's a really interesting moment that we don't get with Kirk much. It's normally about like, he's afraid of death. Okay, great.
Mhm.
So like that's like an interesting plot point. But what does that mean when you inevitably have to get older? And like, what does that mean for you figuring out where the direction of your life, and you're like, do I want to be on a ship all the time? Like, he didn't join Starfleet because he wanted to. He said he joined on a dare. Which, I mean, joining the military on a dare, like, damn, diva, like, that sucks. But like, what a dare. But like, it's an interesting plot. That's why I said the script just screams for one more rewrite, just one note where they go dig deeper into these themes, pull this out more. Like it's great, and he does kind of like, by the end of it, he's like, I'm in Starfleet, especially when he's at the end when he's dealing with Crawl and the whole thing, that action set piece, and it more becomes more about like, he's there for ethical reasons, I guess. Like it doesn't feel like he's made that either Crawl is not a reflection of that, of his like midlife crisis, like what he's doing, like what there's no, it's just he's seeking revenge from Starfleet for this reason. He's defending Starfleet and is there for ethical and moral reasons. And it's like, okay, like, I get it, but like it still doesn't hold enough in terms of like that. That's why this villain is so underserved. That if they just crashed on this inhospitable planet and there was no villain, I'd be like, work, because the villain should be the situation, not so much a person. So if they crash on this planet and there's just these bee people basically that are there, and they're like trying to survive on this inhospitable planet and get off of it, and then they discover that they go, oh, well, we're going to blow up this fucking crazy space station you built in our system. Like, that's great. Get rid of Crawl entirely. It doesn't serve the plot anything. He doesn't.
Maybe they're autonomous drones.
Yeah.
That
or
they
like
stumble upon.
Exactly. Or they, they wake up on this planet and, there's so many things that they could have explored. I mean, it's, that, Kirk is a crisis junkie for sure. But like, it does feel like there's not enough of, they're so close. I can tell that the first part of this movie they really thought about, and then they went, oh shit, we have to get a script. So they rushed to the end. So all of this stuff that they kind of really built up kind of falls off, because like none of the alien stuff in this, once they get to the planet, a lot of that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They kind of touch on it and move on. But like the first part up until when the Enterprise is destroyed is like really, really good building Star Trek stuff. I just wish that the situation, the crisis on this planet, the conflict brought more of that out of the characters and that solution and help them fight against it. I think it does. We'll talk about it later. I think it does with Spock, but it's because they used his pairing with McCoy to kind of build that, to kind of like develop this situation and have them talk about it. Because if Chekhov talked to Kirk about like, hey, I saw you're leaving, what the fuck, bro? Like, there should have been more of a conversation. It just felt like Chekhov and Kirk were just running around shooting people. So, which is cute and fun.
Yeah, him adventuring to get to and save his crew, I think could have been leaned in more. And through that, he realizes his drive to be in Starfleet. I think not mentioning Pike, like I get that they wouldn't want to since he's not in the movie and you have to explain it, but like throwing it like my mentor died. Like I haven't had a mentor figure the last couple of years. I'm just figuring out how to be a captain. And then this happens.
What happens when all your father figures die and you have to now be the father figure? Time to grow up, Peter Pan.
Yeah. Yes. Very that. And then adventuring to save his crew. Like if I like the idea of Captain Ellis not being Crawl, like show me that this guy was actually corrupted. How was he corrupted? It feels a little Borgy, but it could be done differently. And because then like I have it on in the background now, and they have the entire crew here, but only like 2 or 3 bad guys around. Like, why is everybody else here in Starfleet useless? I get a little frustrated with my Trek when the plot relies on Starfleet being stupid. Because
they are just a bunch of nerds. They're a bunch of nerds in space. I think we think of them more as like trained military people, where it's literally just like the National Park Service in space. Like, I
Fair.
worked for the National Park Service, and they're lovely people, but they are not good at most of them are not good in a crisis. They're like, I study rocks. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in a crisis. So it's like, they're trained to,
We
a
have to
certain
run this
level
up
of
to the regional
training.
director.
Yeah. Yeah. They know. It's like, we joke about where's the administrative assistance of Starfleet? Like, all these people are scientists, but who's the one who's going to do like the HR and the paperwork and like who does that? So like most of this crew is just like pencil pushers and people who are like beakers and shit. So that's fine, but like, yeah, I it just the littlest more of this moment. Kirk just needed another moment to think about what it is, why he's in Starfleet. And it can't be that he's trying to save his family because, girl, you work with these people, like, please. But like, it's just, I'm sick of that family motif in Star Trek. Like they can be your friends, but come on.
That plot point becomes a victim of the fact that it has been 3 years. It was called out in the comments, and so it's been 3 years live in the film, but it's 3 years we didn't get to see. So you're just telling us that these people feel like family, but other than beating the shit out of Spock in the last film and then realizing because old Spock says you guys are going to be great friends, like there's been no indication that any of these people care about each other other than obviously Uhura cares about Spock. Obviously McCoy and Kirk have a connection and we're told that Kirk and Spock, but like seeing them as a unit, whether you consider it a family or coworkers that will just die for each other, whatever the case may be, we've never seen that. It's just fast forward. It's in 3 years. We're all bored, sipping coffee. Like it doesn't. It's we're being told instead of shown, and it's annoying.
Also, Kirk died in Into Darkness, and now like Spock is dealing with his double having died. I mean, Into Darkness in and of itself would have been a traumatic enough event with everything that happened, plus himself dying and coming back to life, and now Spock losing the other Spock. And so like there's nothing. I kind of half wondered if, both Kirk and Spock facing this crisis. So in this movie, there's a natural reason for it to happen to Spock because Leonard Nimoy died and Spock died. For Kirk, it's wedged in. There doesn't seem to be a reason for it. There could be if they developed it more, but you could have this whole entire movie and take that out and it wouldn't make a difference. So then like, why is it there? I kind of have two possibilities there. One is that either, like in 2009, there's like, whatever they call it, where like the hero has to like reject the call to action first before they then go and do it. So they had to like create it artificially for this movie for some reason. I don't know why. I kind of think it's more of a like a JJ thing where he has to like mirror everything. So like in the old Star Trek 2 and 3, Kirk and Spock were like, double these guys' age, so it made sense for them to be having that kind of crisis, and these guys are way too young for it. And like maybe he was just mirroring it with them. The only thing that it did for me is that it actually did kind of make me, again, like one thing I like about this movie is that there are more downbeats and more character moments, so it gave me that, and I liked that. Like I didn't have that with those characters in the previous movie, so I liked it for that. But yeah, it seems totally pointless, and just like you're right, Will, just like one more pass and just like looking at that, I think they could have gotten it there and it could have been really good.
Yeah, with Spock, I felt like we've already had this story about his mortality, even though he is young. With Prime Spock's death, I thought it feels like there's an opportunity to think about legacy. They even say someone who has had as many lives as he, it feels illogical to mourn him or something along those lines. But Prime Spock did everything that he did in Prime Universe and came to this universe through an accident and helped set up New Vulcan. What have I done as younger Spock? Like we've had some important adventures. We've stopped Khan, etc. Like thinking about his legacy, I think could have been how they tied it in a little bit differently, rather than it's like, oh, my girlfriend broke up with me and I'm thinking about death again. Like, Why y'all like? I mean, hell, even with Prime Spock dying, you know that you can live however long he lives. So like, why are you? I mean, I'm terrified of death at 39, but still.
Well, they could have focused less on his mortality and more of like a midlife crisis. Like, what do I do now? Like, that's an interesting thing for both of them. Like Spock's can be more about I should continue the work that my alternate universe self, alternate universe self did on New Vulcan. Maybe that is my path now. Maybe Kirk's thing is like, I can't be on the, maybe I shouldn't be in Starfleet anymore. Like, what does that mean when you, because it's still just a job. They're working. So like them thinking about what their life is leading, like, what can I do this forever? Should I think about the future? Does that mean that I leave this place that I've become accustomed to with the people that I, have grown very fond of? What does that look like? Especially for a Vulcan who, like, logically would be like, oh, I died on this other, I died, my future self died. So I should go back to Vulcan to, now that I cannot no longer be in two places at once, maybe I should step into these shoes again, or step into these shoes and leave Starfleet. Like, that's interesting development. And I think Spock deals with it. There's more of him talking about it. Like, there's more of him kind of actively working this out with other people, with someone who actively dislikes him, like McCoy, who eventually, we find actually cares about him. So it's like, it's I don't know. And then them being on this plane, I don't know. It's just, it does need one more pass. The script needed one more good going over. But we keep harping on that. Maybe we'll do that for a Salon. We'll just rewrite this script.
I just felt like the whole "do I belong here" thing for both Spock and for Kirk would have been interesting if there was a better payoff at the resolution didn't seem to make any sense. Like, it was like, okay, well, now that we've had this adventure, I guess we all belong together. Like,
Right.
What? Also, why are you setting up like this? I think this is the first time that Star Trek ever has implied that being on a 5-year mission exploring the galaxy could get boring after the first 3 years. Like, how is this boring? Like, what area of space did they send you to that's mind-numbingly dull and just has you not thinking about sticking around? Like, it just feels very not Star Trek. But then again, so did Yorktown, because once again, snow globe in space seems dangerous.
Very. And in fact was proven to be.
Thank you.
They did comment on it, like McCoy going, "This goddamn snow globe in space. What the hell is this?" It's like let's funny.
Build a giant snow globe in a place where large chunks of rock tend to just fly by at any given moment. Like, it's like, I realize, space is large, but come on now.
Yeah, that's positioned right next to a volatile nebula. That's like right next, a neighbor to this volatile, unexplored nebula. It's like, girl, why would you put anything over there?
Yeah,
you don't know what's going on in that shit.
We're gonna put this light bulb in space right next to something we have no idea what's in there, what's beyond it. We can't scan anything, so yeah, this makes sense. All because
I built this beautiful glass house next to a hurricane. It's like, girl, what the fuck are you doing?
And
Florida, I'm asking for it. Just asking for it.
I liked that they tried to give us a reason. Spock's line about it appearing preferential to lease space on a member world, like attempting.
But also build it out of metal. Like, what the fuck? Why is it built out of glass?
Make it a Cardassian fascist eyesore.
There we go. I love that. I'm currently obsessed with the idea of like a McNeil cylinder, which is like a space colony with a cylinder, and like that would have been cool if it was that, or like, it was or also the idea of, I was reading about Dyson swarms, which was really cool. Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that thing is just, it's ridiculous. It's such a huge, like it's such a like a masturbatory thing for Starfleet and the Federation too. It's like, ooh, look at this fucking thing we built. It's like, fuck you.
In the middle of nowhere.
Like,
yeah.
No wonder people want to blow it up. Like, they should. There should be a novel that's just about Yorktown Station, and they're constantly fighting off enemies who are just like pissed at this fucking station. It's like, this thing is fucking ugly.
If you want to enter it, find the hole. Like, it's just not. Yeah.
It's like that
not
that
okay.
that that thing in New York that they should keep shutting down, that people didn't want built, and then people
the
started killing
stairs thing.
themselves on. That thing, it was like a pine cone. Then
It's like a giant Stargate. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually collapsing.
Right.
God.
Ridiculous.
Also, if you want to build a massive space station for diplomatic purposes, Babylon 5 did that already. You just feel free to repeat the process.
Yeah, do the cylinder. Okay, so some positives. This movie has some pretty good pacing, I will say, even though like something like the actiony stuff, I'm just like, wait, we just did this. We're back on the ship, crashing it again, but whatever. But hair and makeup on point. I love that we got a bunch of different creatures in the crew. Starfleet, for budgetary reasons, has always in real world budgetary reasons has always been very human centric. So it would be cool to. It was always like, let's see more. And so in this movie, getting to actually see different aliens is really exciting. Especially Crab Lady. Like, oh, I can actually just hide stuff.
We got to call out Joanne's comment from several minutes ago, though, who said, "I wanted them to eat the crabhead lady." I don't know if that's problematic or hilarious
with some melted
or both.
butter.
I'm not sure.
With some melted
I don't think
butter.
we have we don't have a button for that, but maybe we
do we?
I know what that is. No, but it qualifies for Matt's confusing problematic something alert that happens without Matt sometimes, and that's what I'm calling.
Yeah. I don't have that yet, but I can work on it another time.
No, it's on the sheet. You don't have to have a thing for it.
Oh,
I'm just excited that I got to use my drop downs.
Do they turn?
I remember the makeup in this movie is fucking crazy, because that thing, the Spider Woman, that thing is practical. That opened up on that woman's head, and like the snail lady, and like all the makeup in this is absolutely amazing. And it lost to fucking Suicide Squad.
Insane.
Suicide Squad, a movie that barely had makeup at all.
Yeah.
If you don't count that the shitty press on tattoos that Jared Leto had, but they did that. That one, I call bullshit. Fucking ridiculous. It should have won.
I kept confusing the crab lady and the snail lady though, because they both had those big heads.
Both great with the butter sauce.
Yeah. All crustaceans look the same to you, Benji?
Yeah.
Racist.
Wow.
I like escargot.
Specious.
Go to Quebec.
You could tell which one was which because the snail lady moved really slow.
Yes.
Oh,
also,
I kind of wanted the crab lady, her thing to open up and to be like the face hugger from Alien and just like grab someone. Like that's what I kind of wanted to happen.
Just like chomp down on somebody.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I wanted to see her leave the room walking sideways.
Yeah. I do wish these other crew weren't useless. Like when they end up back on the Franklin and they're like, okay, we got to jumpstart this, and Scotty's like, oh no, we can't, it's not possible, and then it is. Like, show the crew coming together, fixing that old bucket of bolts. Like, you just got your crew back. Show us why, or show us how you all come together, and like, I don't know. It's just like another missed opportunity. I'm sounding like I'm bragging on this film, and it's not my intention. I just wish I always want to see a little bit more of the rest of the crew.
I thought it was weird that we got introduced to Hikaru's husband, and we don't ever get a line of dialogue. We don't get any, like, he just meets him at the airlock and puts his arm around him, and we're like, oh, they have a child together. Like, the man doesn't get like, we don't know what he does for a living. We don't know if he just stays home with Tamora.
We get to see little Tamora.
But why is he on? Did he meet them? Like, I'm
thinking
he lives in Yorktown Station.
Yeah. What does he do there? Was he
like,
was he part of the construction crew?
That you're there at the same time,
right?
But then
did he book passage because
never
he knew
like
the president was going to be there? You know, give us something.
Yeah. But Sulu's never like, I have to get back to my husband and my daughter who are possibly going to die on this fucking station.
Yeah, and if you have two full reasons,
like,
just
did
say
they leave?
family.
Like he
Yeah.
doesn't reference his family again. I
There's
just
nothing in
realized that. Well, probably because they couldn't sell this in the international market. They couldn't sell it to
Yeah.
China, and the fact that they filmed that in Abu Dhabi or what was it, Dubai, or they filmed that in Dubai, where like literally they could the morality police could have come and arrested Zachary Quinto for being an out gay man while filming.
I mean, I
Isn't that
understand.
fucked up?
I understand, but I don't. Like, I'm
Yeah.
angry about the cutting out of the affection.
There's a way
but,
to
like,
get around it.
Removing
Like-
the affection is one thing. Removing him making sense doesn't make sense.
Again,
Yeah, he can later in the
none
film
of-
say, "I'm fighting for my family back on Yorktown." Like, he doesn't
Right.
have to say, "I'm fighting for my gay family back on Yorktown." I have a controversial opinion. I get this film made, make the money you need so that we get more of it. And if that means for certain markets editing out the gay kiss, I am personally fine with it, because what I would do is say, all right, we're going to do that so that this can go in China. And then Paramount or JJ or Alex, the actors, donate 50 grand to an LGBTQ rights organization in China. Like, yep, here's your version of the film because you all are assholes, but also here's a donation to an organization fighting for shit to get better for our community there. And then in America, where things are slightly better, ever so slightly, give us the gay kiss.
Yeah.
Well, what do we think about George Takei's take on it when it first came out, that he disagreed that they should have made him gay?
Actors
It's not
don't
up
own
to
their
him.
characters.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Actors and characters.
Yeah.
His feeling is, yeah, I don't know. I had queer friends at the time who said that they felt it was tokenizing. They agreed with him, but when I watched it this time, I was fine with it too.
I mean, the way that it came about, it does feel tokenizing to me because they gave us what they gave us. I respect that opinion, but yeah, not like this is why I'm a fan of recasting, because a new interpretation, new stories to tell, give us something different. I'm always for it, but yeah, the execution was wonky for sure.
I was disappointed in George, only because even if he felt that way, even if he disagrees, I don't think it makes any sense, and it's never a good look to trash the people that are coming after you doing something like. And he was unnecessarily negative about it. Instead of saying, oh, it's an interesting choice, and just not really commenting any further, to say he didn't think it was right. He thought he referenced the fact that Sulu has a daughter. Like, he actually in one interview mentions that as though that means that the character's not gay.
As gays can't have kids.
Also, no one ever said that the character was gay. They said the character had a relationship with a man and they had a daughter. I don't understand why we always have to make the leap that, like, oh, this person's with a man and has a child, they are a homosexual. Like, no, there's other options out there, George. But it felt very, I don't know. George already put his foot in his mouth when he trashed TNG, and then sort of had to backtrack on that afterwards. And I feel like he maybe took a few too many steps in speaking negatively about this.
It's odd too that his reaction to it is strange, and it was done as like a tribute to him being an out gay man and playing this iconic character, and like it's kind of his reaction is very strange, and I could see if they had made, if they wouldn't have done this, it probably would have caused, in 2009 probably would have caused someone to lose their fucking, probably would have caused like a war or something. But they made Sulu gay from the original reboot. They make more reference to that, where they show him, say goodbye to his husband and get on there, or like we see them on a date or something, or like, oh, that's my boyfriend, like they're not married yet or something, like, have a moment where we see that before it kind of gets dropped in everyone's lap. Because I could see how in this film it does feel tokenized, because it's like, oh, we'll just casually make this one person gay, he walks off with a man, wraps his arm around him, and it's like, but there's no reference to that being his husband. He doesn't address it. That could be like a brother or something. Like that could be. It doesn't. The hold is a little bit too intimate for that to be like a relative. But the I see both sides of it. TK has been on the wrong side of certain things a number of times to where I don't really trust his opinion on stuff. Like he's been a great advocate in other things, but sometimes he said things that I'm like,
yeah.
whoa.
And in this case, it's also particularly odd because he had said multiple times for decades that he was pushing Gene to be more progressive about LGBTQ issues, including, I think, potentially letting him be openly gay on the show. And he was told, like, we're already doing too much. They won't let me, etc. So when they actually do it, like if he had been like, they're giving me a wink and a nod, like they're not doing it respectfully, I could meet him halfway there. But to just be frustrated that they made him gay, I think is an odd thing to be weird about and public. I agree with Trevor. Like,
I will say, we can comment on the gay stuff, but we can't. What we can comment on is the Asian stuff, which is
for sure
that he suggested. And like one of my best friends, who I talk about to Star Trek about a lot, who is Asian, she at least in part agreed with him because she was like, and also what's his name, Harry Kim. Has talked about this, and that was maybe a more appropriate setting for it. But like, Asian men and male Asian characters not being able to, not getting the girl, not being seen, to be, viable partners for white women, those kinds of things, and that there's supposed to be like a relationship, I think, between him and Rand or something like that. So I can see it from that perspective. That when you're fighting to be part of a culture, and maybe not, straight Asian men not being taken seriously that way, I can see a part of that, and my friend had some agreement there. So anyway, there's a piece there that none of us can comment on, so I want to leave that open to George. But yeah, like as we view the scene, and you're saying, well, like, that could have been his brother or something because he just threw his arm around him with zero intimacy. So yeah, it's feeling more and more like a cop-out as we talk about it.
It would have been, touching on that for a second, Benji, it would have been a great opportunity for George to draw attention to the American trend of desexualizing Asian men. It's I don't personally know how anyone could desexualize Doug Jung or John Cho, or the idea of them together, because I'm sexualizing it in my head right now. But and that's not to, yeah. Anyway, all jokes aside, the issue of making that kind of statement before you've seen the film is also a problem, but that's a problem for everyone who makes these kinds of statements before they see the film. But in this particular case, as it all unfolds, like you don't know if Hikaru and a woman had a child together, that woman passed away, you don't know that, like, and then he ends up with Ben. You don't know if Ben is actually Demora's father and Hikaru came along at some point. Like, you don't know their family story. So to then jump in and for George to say things that he said, it just all fell apart even after the film came out for me.
I'm going to need assistance being held accountable to this, but if I were ever a part of a Star Trek production, I would immediately be off Twitter, because I'm not going to be caught. I'm not going to be caught in this moment where I'm like, my views on getting blocked will be very different if I become an actor. Like, I will be very free with that block button. Let's talk about Scotty and Jayla. We got a new alien. They had written the character for Jennifer Lawrence, J-Law, and thus became Jayla, with a different actress, obviously. Thoughts on our resident alien. And Trevor, keep us going. I will be right back.
I like her. I like her perspective, and her kind of. I don't know. It does. She does feel like there is an archetype happening here. I haven't quite put my finger on it. Where it's like, oh, woman in the wild. Like, there's funny stuff she's doing, and like I think she has enough charisma as a character. Like they've written her to be really charming and like capable. But like it does. I don't know. It does feel like we don't get enough time with her. Or like enough of her backstory. Like I needed to see some of this instead of her just telling me.
She does have a lot of charisma, and Joanne, this is for you. She also has a lot of uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Mm-hmm. But you're right. We didn't. It's a weird introduction to get to the point where you're like, wait, is she actually joining the crew? Like I don't. It leaves us off in a very weird place, and her character feels like a tease to me. Benji, you were going to say something about Jayla.
Oh, I just thought they had great chemistry. Like her and Simon Pegg were fantastic together. I think definitely, like I'm sure there were plans. I mean, we know from the start there were plans for Star Trek 4. She would have been in it, I think, for sure. I think if they make it now, she won't be. But yeah, we would have seen her in a Starfleet uniform, I think, in the next film.
Yeah,
for sure. A lot.
And as a potential, I mean, I hate to think of it this way, but as a potential replacement for the Chekhov character, because I don't think recasting Anton was ever going to happen. I think they actually stated that it wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel weird about that.
Mm-hmm.
That they wouldn't just recast. I know we're moving off of Jayla, but like, love the character. Wish we got to see more of her backstory. Like, got to see some of it instead of her just telling me. You know, I'm sure that's budget and time and all that. I'm sure there would have had something regarding that. I do like her character a lot. And her interaction with Scotty is great. But I'll say, with the Anton not recasting him, I think. I don't know if I think I think he probably would have said, yeah, recast it, give that to someone else. Like I think holding off on recasting it. I think sometimes when people go, oh, we're not going to recast this character because he unfortunately passed. He unfortunately died. Awful circumstance to his death, and far too soon for such a talented person and such a genuinely nice person from all accounts. But I think doing that, I think kind of, I don't know, because I think from my perspective, I played a character, and if I was like, I've been like, no, please give it to someone else. Like, give this blessing to someone else. Like, pass that on. And I just don't think like,
actors
them
own
saying
their characters.
That
they should, especially in a franchise, especially when you weren't the someone wasn't the first actor to play that character.
Yeah, and he didn't originate it. So it's like we've recast tons of people. Like, how many times have we had different Spocks and Kirks, and we've had
there are more Chekhov
two
stories
Scotties
to tell.
now. Yeah,
they
so it's like
interpret their characters. The director interprets the script. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I think that's right.
I would say that. And I think if they asked the cast, they'd be like, okay, how do we feel about that? It's like the cast of people. I would ask them, because they're probably the closest to Anton in that situation. Ask them, do you think we should recast this or keep it or not, and figure out a way to work around it? I think doing that, draws more attention to it, other than like you're not going to find anyone to replace it. But I think it does make it so it's like, oh, we can't. You're always kind of walking on eggshells in terms of that.
Yeah.
And I think if you let someone step into that and is like a tribute and be like, I'm taking this on, there's a certain respect to the character, so on and so forth. But like,
my one caveat would be that, like, this is Kelvin universe, right? Like, if their plan is one more and we're done, I can see, like, yeah, we're not gonna recast.
Right.
This cast was a family. But if this was going to be a continuation of the franchise, and are we going to get a Captain Sulu, or like, if there was going to be more, then I would go back to my original thought of like that I just don't think the actor owns a character. So
no, I don't think so. And I think doing that sometimes it just it feels like dishonest, because are they just never going to cast anyone as Chekhov ever again?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what happens with that? Like, they go, oh, we can never have Chekhov again.
I mean, I'm fine with
Like,
no more
does that
reboots.
stop with a reboot? I mean, exactly. Like, I don't need to see the original series cast in Strange New Worlds, for instance. But like,
Yeah.
what
need another version
where
of
do you draw the
Spock.
line? Where do you draw the
Yeah.
line? Like, are they going to reboot this again and we're just go, we can't pull a Chekhov now? Like, I don't know. I have a weird feeling about it where I go, no, give someone else the role. Like, it's just a character. He didn't originate this. This wasn't something he created. Yes, he played this role. He was cast and he was fantastic in it. But I think you should. It's a character.
Yeah.
Somewhere there's a young actor waiting for his big break who would be
And
as
Chekhov could
ecstatic
be
as
it.
Anton was about playing this character, but
I-
more
I-
so it's his first role. And
I think the human beings with emotions who are his castmates might feel weird about it and not want to do it, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, in
That's
the
why I said
Kelvin
talk to
universe,
them
for
about
sure.
it. But like, yeah, I would say talk to them about
Yeah.
it and how they feel about it. I mean, 8 years on, I'm sure they have a different,
Yeah.
opinion
They
on
could have
that.
also someone they love who they would want to bring on or something.
Yeah.
I guess.
And the character is too young. Well, let's not put anything past Akiva. If he wants to play with those original series characters, he's going to. But Chekhov was the youngest, and at this point in the Strange New Worlds timeline, is probably still a young child.
Well, he's supposed to
Or
be 16 in the original series, isn't he? Isn't he supposed to be like a little kid? He's like
He's like
supposed
a-
to be really young in the
He graduated
the original
early.
series.
I remember he
Yeah,
graduated
same-
early.
He was
Yeah, he's
17
like a little.
in 09.
Yeah, so he's like young. So I mean, it's fine. But like, I don't know. I think if I'll say this, I think the context in which this has changed. I think if they had gone on to do a fourth movie almost immediately following this, I think that they could have just inserted Jayla into that role or brought someone else on, brought in, or left that kind of open and been
There's
like,
some
oh, we can
Arex
acknowledge.
love in the chat for that role.
Yeah, I mean, Arex, great idea. I mean, there was you could definitely put a new character in there. You could bring in like Ilea or anyone else. Just be like, oh, I have someone we could bring in from the franchise to put in that position, right?
Yeah.
But now I think that we're so far on. If they end up making the fourth movie, which who knows? But
Sure.
but like, I think they're far enough away from it. I think they could recast it, give it to someone else. Like, I don't know.
I
Not
have
to
it
say
on.
disservice to Anton. If anyone wants to see a fucked up movie that's really good, Green Room.
Yes.
It has Anton Yelchin, and Patrick Stewart in it.
It's incredible.
And it is a fucked up movie, but it is so good. And
speaking of evil, Picard.
Oh yeah,
sorry, spoilers.
Patrick Stewart
Kind
is
of
a fucking bastard in that movie. But no, it's anyway. Watch it; it's fantastic. It's not a light watch, but both of them are great in it, and Anton really does like some really, really, really great work in that movie. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I love Jayla. I thought I liked having the alien perspective, like the Odo, the Spock, the Data, the Neelix, the outside perspective. Neelix is not the best example, but having an outside perspective is always something interesting to see in Star Trek, and I liked Jayla's contribution. We like sort of heightened the stakes of what she had gone through and why she was so worried. It's interesting. It's on in the background now, and we're at the point where like apparently Kroll could change. Like I forgot his shape shifting bullshit was controllable the whole time, and so now he looks like himself again.
I thought that was because he was eating.
Wasn't that only when he ate or something?
Oh, because he ate a human. Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was because he was becoming less like an alien and more human. But again, not clearly thought of. They don't talk about it. They don't say the crew changed because of this technology or whatever that was keeping him alive. Or
Also,
whatever.
I have a plot hole question. How the fuck does he even know that Yorktown exists?
Yeah.
How did he manage to get a bunch of shit onto the Enterprise so he could look at their database and find out where they were and who they were going? And they had that device.
And he knew that device was going to be given to Kirk from one alien race to give to this other child lion race.
The little Tasmanian devil planet.
Yeah. Which
those things are so funny.
The first time I watched it, I was like, this is dumb. And then I watched it again and was like, actually, this is very TOS.
Yeah.
And it grew on me. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. And I started to love it. I did not love that they kept one of them.
Or like kicked them.
Yeah.
Like,
sends those people back to their planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good point in the chat. They did have these attack ships, so they're not bound to that planet.
But like they couldn't scan outside the nebula, so did they just like fly out and go, "Oh, space station," and fly back?
Yeah,
like, I don't.
And did it get detected? And what is this like? Yeah. Listen, I'm all about like doing cool new shit in Trek, but like this convoluted. All of the air in Yorktown is controlled from this series of cubes in the middle of the snow globe. What?
The key to the entire movie is an air vent. Like that's
and a Beastie Boys track. It's an air vent and a Beastie Boys track.
Yeah, that needed another line of explanation too. Like it was cool. I'm like, okay, you're disrupting them with radio waves. Cool. Give me a little bit more technobabble, please.
It's a cute callback to the first movie where it's
I do agree with Simon Pegg was so pissed when it was used in the trailers. Like it's such a cool moment that should not have been in the trailer.
No,
like, it should have been a fun surprise in the movie.
Yeah, like they showed the Enterprise blowing up like immediately. Like that. This is such like a like. Anyway, the Paramount's never gotten marketing right. Whoever runs their marketing team needs to be fired. It's terrible.
Yeah. Speaking of, no spoilers for the Acolyte, but the villain helmet is going to be available for purchase soon. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we are getting shit so quickly, random shit so quickly for the Star Wars franchise. Why can they not get it right with Paramount? I get that there's a lot that goes into it, but I am telling you, if they had announced a Moopsie plush the day that episode happened, it would have sold out immediately. And speaking of Moopsie plushes, welcome to the Salon. How was your day? Did you suck his bones?
Something got sucked.
Oh my God.
Push the button.
Yes.
Push the damn button.
Yes. There might be a delay. Love it. Welcome. Glad you had fun. Glad he had fun.
I'm glad I'm here. It's been a million gazillion years.
I know. Welcome back. What
are
your top thoughts on Star Trek Beyond and
favorite
democracy?
Oh, and now that you're here, I need another cocktail. I'll be right back.
Nice.
I gotta go to the replicator.
Favorite of the Kelvin movies, minus a few things, and American Democracy. I didn't watch the debate, but I'll probably catch the highlights tomorrow. But any room for people in Canada? Anyone? Can I come to Canada? Is it possible? Girl. Anyone want to marry me? I'll be a really good husband.
I don't know the rules in Canada, but I am an ordained minister, so I can perform weddings.
But yeah, those are my top thoughts. Can we, after this show, can we have an audience only after show for the Acolyte?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Sorry to the 143 of you who tuned in for Star Trek. We need a moment. What was I? Uhura. We haven't talked about Uhura yet. I love Zoe Saldana. I love her portrayal of the character. I love her and Spock. I like that in this universe we're getting that perspective. I think it's really interesting. like I said earlier, I do wish with the villain, if they had made it Captain Ellis from the jump, and he had corrupted and give us more of his actual reasoning, it would have been really cool to see Sulu talking about needing to get back to Yorktown to save his family, and having Ellis hear that, and Zoe as Uhura helping bring him back from the brink. Like, there was a little bit of it, but it was just sort of like, she's a badass fighter, and now she's just randomly there while he tells her the whole, like, very Bond villain, I'm gonna tell you, Lieutenant Uhura, my entire plan. It's like, what? Her performance is incredible, but I thought there was just such an opportunity there for her to sort of uncorrupt Ellis and have him like see the light again. Maybe make Manus the like he takes over the mission because he sees that Ellis is like, nah, I'm actually realizing that my pissiness at Starfleet is stupid. I don't know. Thoughts on Uhura in this movie?
I think this is the best treatment of her character in either three of the movies. She's not so obsessed with Spock, where it's just like her whole thing is about what's Spock doing, how's he feeling. Like she kind of, like, as much as she's like portrayed as a badass and really competent, it's like, oh, she's also like completely and utterly digmatized by Spock. I mean, I get it, but like, come on.
Did these movies even pass the Bechdel test?
I doubt it.
Doubtful.
Doubtful. But I will say, I think people forget that this woman is like, she is an incredible linguist and like auditory engineer, and like I don't even know all the the woman is like has to be incredibly intelligent to sit there and translate languages in real time and know all of this stuff, and like a linguist, and like the point where she figures out who Krall is interesting because she kind of hears his voice and goes over to it, which is great. But like, I wish they used more of her brain instead of her just being like kind of like, if they had Krall not speak English, if the aliens only spoke that language and she had to figure out how to talk to them, and that's why she became so valuable to Krall, because he could talk through her, like, that's interesting. But like, Joanne, a cunning linguist.
Cunnilinguist.
There. Cunnilinguist, exactly. But like, I feel like there's a point where it's just like, but because Zoe Saldana is such a badass and she's like, you know, a martial artist, can kick anyone's ass, they're just like, we'll just have her beat the shit out of this person. But it's like, Uhura's like very fucking intelligent. Like, she's actually very skilled at her job. And it's like, I don't know. I think I'm just glad we got to see her rank, and her, it seemed like she was more part of the crew instead of just following Spock around.
Yeah.
Love Zoe Saldana.
Until I met the Strange New Worlds Uhura, I would have been like, oh, that's really good, Uhura. But now I'm like, she's all right. They didn't really
very different interpretations.
Yeah.
They just didn't give her enough. So
yeah, very Uhura. They did not give her enough in the original. They didn't give her enough in the Kelvin.
Joel,
I do think
am I Twain? Because if I am, I'll definitely put the voice on for you.
Oh God.
Cunnilingus.
Cunnilingus is one of my favorite things.
One of my favorite SNL sketches of all time. It is so good. Cunnilingus.
I'll take the rapist for $500, Trebek.
Penis my job.
Anal plum cover for 1,000.
Same universe.
I just wanted to say that because I criticized it so much in the last two movies, that like as soon as we put long sleeves on the women's uniforms and they have rank again, suddenly they become useful. You know, basically Uhura ran around somewhat helpless for most of the last two films, and yeah, give her rank back, and suddenly she's a martial arts expert and a saucer separation strategist.
Say that.
Yeah.
What have we not talked about in this movie? We're coming up on the hour and a half mark.
Can we talk about our hopes for the next? Like, is there going to be a Star Trek 4 for the Kelvins?
They're going to reboot it.
Slut, there's not going to be a what was the quote? There's not going to be a pool. You stupid slut.
You stupid slut. There's not going to be a fourth Star Trek movie.
Jessica Lange.
Naughty Pine. Yeah. No.
Smells like cat piss in the Enterprise.
Fish. Cat piss. I can't spend eternity here.
Oh my gosh.
What is this?
Yes. What are
Jessica Lange in this bitch?
Yes. My hopes for the the fourth Star Trek movie in the Kelvin universe are as follows: a series of cameos, people that I want to see in Trek. Although I don't know that I want them in the Prime universe, but I'm thinking like Will and I talked about this on Tuesday as well. Parker Posey, we need her in the Trek universe.
Yeah.
Jessica Lange, Sarah Paulson, Christine Baranski is my inspiration for a character that I'm writing in a spec script.
Starting to sound like we need the entire cast of American Horror Story. I'm not sure where this
literally, yeah. Everyone from
Ryan
American
Murphy
Horror Story,
can't touch it.
Sarah Paulson, get her in there.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get Mike White to do it instead.
Are we at the point in Star Trek where we can get like Star Trek American Horror Story or something, like Star Trek Horror Story and like a spin-off?
Well, that was
like,
supposed to be
series?
Discovery. Discovery was supposed to be an anthology series like that. That's what it was originally pitched as.
That would have been rad. Although
I do think seeing horror in Trek, like I liked that Gorn episode. I think they do need to do more with the Gorn to explain it. I've accepted that they gestate. I want them to explicitly say that the Gorn are the way that they are based on what they gestate in, and the problem is humans. I want it to be stated. But more I don't like horror, but horror in Trek. The first Impact Nor episode of Deep Space Nine scares the fuck out of me. I would love more of that.
Well,
to
like
clarify,
most
you're saying horror.
Horror.
No, horror. I want horror.
Can we do a Salon on that Next Generation porn parody that's actually pretty good?
Yes, it is actually very good.
That would actually be really fun. Can we do? Okay,
I don't know about
this. Clearly, just wanted to make Star
it's so funny because it's written by someone. It feels like it's written by someone who loved Star Trek, but it's like let's just have everyone fucking it. It's actually really good.
So basically, Star Trek.
Yes,
basically.
I mean,
but yeah.
The only problem with it is it's all straight. Like if they had a gay scene in it, it would have been perfect.
It's not gay at all. There's a gay one. There's a gay Star Trek. I'm sure of it. There's got to be.
There is. There's the 2009 one.
Men.com. Yeah, I have seen it.
But if I'm gonna watch straight porn, like at least tell me the dicks are good.
Yes, the guy who plays Picard is pretty hot.
It was the scene on the Glen in Discovery that was body horror. That was good.
Yeah.
Well, most of the original series episodes are fucking horror. Like some guys getting killed, some poor random faceless man is getting killed in some horrifying way. The salt monster. Like there's a lot of horror in the original series. I would say
legit.
Star
Trek is
awful. Right. It is.
It is pretty bad. It's not well written, obviously.
It's Kelvin universe. It's very Cozumart cosplay.
No, they got that shit. They got those from the fucking Spirit Halloween. I can tell you right now because it's the same fucking. It's all from Spirit. It's absolutely terrible.
Plain black pants. Not even either. Like they don't match.
Yeah, none of it is canon. None of it is.
There's like a
show
desk.
Correct.
There's a desk that has white plastic around it.
Yeah,
the lens flares are really funny too.
There's a gay porn
the captain's chair.
There's a gay porn with horrible costuming. Is that what you're telling me right now?
What?
Is that what you're expecting?
Surprising as it is. We're doing both. We have to do both of these.
It is terrible, but the dudes are fucking hot. I think one of the guys is also in a Star Wars parody. Porn.
I never thought I'd want to make a gay porno,
Crossing the
but like I think
franchise.
now I want to make a really good Star Trek gay porno. It would be really great.
Yeah.
Like on
Get
the
some
like,
good writing in
rent
the, oh
one
my
of the
God.
sets. Go
Yes.
do it on the Enterprise D set.
Yeah. Yes.
The reason none of us could ever do that is that everyone here would also have to stop and be like, I'm sorry, you pronounced dilithium wrong.
Oh yeah. No, it would be bad.
It'll
It'd
be called
like,
Bi-lithium in
my
my gay
dilithium chamber.
Bi-lithium.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
My bilithium chamber yearns for your
oh my god
positron beam.
I don't know how many it counts. Just push the button a bunch of times.
Yeah. Here's
I'll
a
just
few.
count. I'll just
I think that counts for a few.
I don't know how many that was, but whatever.
Yeah, call it Deep Space Nine and have a little inches sign after it.
Yeah, Deep Space 9 inches. Yeah.
Star Trek Voyager.
Voyager, God.
Voyage. Oh, I don't know.
We could fuck the pussy. Yeah.
Can that be a clip?
We're gonna get banned.
We could
from
land
YouTube.
the ship in the pussy. Yeah.
Chakotay.
Giant vagina, and they have to like fire phasers at the clitoris or something. That'd be funny. And they can't find it.
There's
They
a
have to get-
pussy
they have to
in
get
that
it- they have-
nebula.
Targeting scammers failed.
They have to get Tuvok away from the tactical console because he can't find the clitoris.
That's not stupid enough, Joanne.
Star
Yeah.
Trek Lawyer was pretty good. Star Trek Lawyer.
yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing is just Mulgrew spying on people having sex.
Bring
Yeah,
me
yeah.
Chakotay.
Uh,
I don't know where to go from here.
I mean,
Any final thoughts on Star Trek Beyond?
If this is the last Kelvin movie we get, it's a good ending to that. It's a solid, it feels like an ending in a certain way. It does feel like it. It feels like them going off and Trevor's still stuck on
I know, I'm looking at the comments. The comments
the
are
Bussy
getting a little-
Collective. Oh my
the
god.
Bussy
Anyway.
Collective and the search for Spock.
Yeah. Listen, I have been on
Hold on.
a dry spell this entire calendar year, and it's not by choice. So I am on that search.
All right, Joel.
I already got,
A T.
yeah, Undiscovered Country. Yeah, that was about
I discovered country for sure.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right, let's
My final-
bring this
If
in for
I-
a landing. Trevor, give
agree.
us give us the tallies, please.
So for a first time in Salon history, I don't even fucking know how many problematic gay alerts there were. There were a lot of problematic gay alerts tonight. There was one Matt's confusing problematic something alert that went to Joanne, I believe in the comments, right? Isn't that what I decided? I don't remember. It's been a long night. We landed the ship. We landed the ship twice. I'm giving 250 bonus points to Will for bail money to get out of that prison that he's in.
Thank you so much.
I gave 500 bonus points to Joel for the undiscovered country. I gave 1,000 bonus points to Sohail for Bilithium, and I gave 1,000,000 bonus points to Shoray Agdashlu because I fucking feel like it.
Oh, I love Sherrod. She
This
answered my
this is-
tweet one time. She's
This is not my
great.
department, but I do believe we should have some bonus points for Aaron for the search for Spunk.
Search for Spunk.
First of all, we're a collective. We don't have those kinds of delineated responsibilities. So I will allow it. We'll give 500,000 just because I feel bad for missing it.
All right, y'all. Quick programming notes. We are off next week. I have nothing to do though, so I might get
it's the
bored and
4th
do
of
a
July.
Hive stream. But
Right.
no official Salon for the 4th of July. But in 2 weeks, we will begin our coverage on Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, coming live to Netflix July 1st. Highly recommend, again, everybody watch Season 1, watch our retrospective here on @Salon Trek here on YouTube with executive producer Ann Watke in the chat answering some questions. And let's see if our request to kill Chakotay comes true. Starting July 1st, Season 2 will be available on Netflix. Highly recommend watching it quickly. Netflix, they really care about 24-hour, 7-day, and first month numbers. Watch it, rewatch it, get your friends to watch it. People who don't typically watch Star Trek, if they see that people are interested in this, we're going to get a 3rd season. The best way to get more Star Trek, from Prodigy to Legacy to new shows to new movies, is to watch the Trek that we get in the meantime. So do that. And in 2 weeks, we will see you discussing the first 2 episodes, unless they do one of their 2-parters as episode 2 and 3 right away. Who knows? We'll find out on the 1st. And you know where you'll get updates: Twitter, Blue Sky, and here on YouTube @Salon Trek. Follow us in all the places. And until then, live long and prosper.